Warning: this program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. With your hosts Berserker and Navox, this is Unshackled Fury. Coming at you fresh off the first week of a new raid, this is episode 45 of the Unshackled Fury podcast. Thanks for joining us once again. I am your host, Berserker, and with me, as always, is the Cain to my Undertaker. He is Navox. Welcome back again, sir.
What is happening, my Furian brethren? How are you enjoying the Battle for Dazara lore so far?
Ripping it up.
Oh, yeah.
We're having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. It's always nice to get in a new raid. And you know, they knocked it out of the park with this one, and it was a little bittersweet leaving Old Deer because it turned out to be one of the better raids. But this one, this one this one is such a welcome change. Yeah. So how far have you gotten in the raid so far?
We're making some pretty good progress on Rastakhan, and that's where we left it. But man, it's funny because we were really just rolling, and for us, that's kind of a surprise. But we'll tackle all the new raid stuff.
Yeah,
a little bit later here in the show as we talk about our early impressions and other thoughts about the new raid. Other than that, how was life treating you?
Life is all right, I guess. At the moment, we've got a lot of rain here in sunny Florida, and it's cold. Cold for Floridians is somewhere in the 50s range. Oh. Yeah, 80s. No, it's 55 outside, and the house is maintaining a chill. But I'm being the stubborn person who won't put the heat on in the house to get the chill out.
Oh, you people are the worst.
I will end up putting it on this evening. I know it sounds funny to everybody who's like, I know we have some listeners from Chicago area who's like, it's negative like 30 right now and it's cold and you know, everything hot freezes, like a cup of coffee's frozen, and
I have to get up in the middle of the night and put a heater in my engine just so I can start the car in the morning, you bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, everything else is going all right. How about you?
Well, we're as you and I talked about very briefly before we got recording here. Our family is adjusting to the new normal, as we did discuss last time, and as I did put a post on Twitter. Our beloved cat has departed, has left us. She did not make it much longer after we recorded our last episode. So our dear cat, may she rest in peace. And so we're kind of adjusting to that around here. It's a little weird, you know, when you have something around for 15, nearly 16 years, and out of the corner of your eye, you kind of expect to see certain things, and then you look over and there's nothing there, and you're like, man, that's freaking weird. So trying to get a new vibe on that around here. But other than that, it is unlike what you're experiencing. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Northern California. I think we're rolling, according to this fancy ass watch I've got. It says it's about 66 degrees outside, which is too hot for me in the wintertime. But it's enough for your weather report. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. We're doing all right here. You know, since we had our last episode in which we premiered our new intro theme, we've been getting some really good response to that fine musical piece that we have unleashed upon the world. So I just want to say thanks once again to our man Kane Kong for coming through on that. And, you know, we gotta find other reasons to bring him into the mix and to get something going.
Absolutely. Bring back talk tacos or something. I don't know.
Oh, anything for tacos. Some kind of karaoke. There's got to be some kind of Warcraft karaoke we can do.
No, that'd be fun. Yeah,
get him in.
I don't know.
We got to find something. I'm also on top of the new raid that we're enjoying. I'm also enjoying getting that piece of 400 gear for doing the Warfront.
I know.
Already.
It's so nice to be Alliance.
Yeah, we got a nice little bump on that, and mine actually upgraded to 410.
Whoa!
So yeah, I got a nice.
That's awesome.
Nice snazzy belt.
Yeah, we can never get those. The Warriors can never get those weapons that.
No.
Forge.
Yeah, a 410 weapon at this point would. I mean, I'd still be last DPS on my team, but at least it might look respectable at that point. So, yeah, still holding out hope for that. But speaking of new gear and our raids and all that fun stuff that's going on, let's go ahead and jump into all that. But first, there is a portion of that that's got me all wigged out this week. So let's go ahead and hit up some rage. Let's rage. So as we've discussed, new raid is out. Both of our teams and many other teams like us blazing through, kicking some ass, taking some names, and getting some gear. Mm-hmm. And that's always a big rush, right? The little dopamine bump that we get. You know, got a new piece of gear. I'm going to check it out.
That's right.
Is this an upgrade? I don't know. And I'm at the point now where I need to know when my gear is an upgrade or not when I'm in the game. Yeah. I don't want to have to tab out anymore to get to a third-party website to sim my entire character, tell me where all of my drops and upgrades are, and whether or not, well, this piece that's got the strength and the crit, it's better. No, it's worse. Oh, wait, I don't. Well, no, the haste is better. But it's, here's the trade-off. Does it have a gem? No, it doesn't have a gem. But this trade-off is like, I can't do this dance, man. Like, does it have my primary stats? Does it have the secondary stat that's good to me? That's all I want to know. That's all I care about. And I don't know why it needs to be this complicated. Like, I'm sure that there's people that really enjoy that portion of the meta game where it's like, ooh, it's this piece and then this piece and this thing. No, I just want warrior gear in particular, plate gear.
Right.
I want my strength. I want my crit. I don't like haste. I want crit. Haste is boring. Haste is a boring stat. It's obliterate it from the game. I just want strength and crit. Like the old days. Back in my days, what we used to do.
We used to get a 4-piece bonus and go from there.
That's right. So where this comes from is we were going through our raid the other night, and one of our players on our team picked up a piece of gear, and he's going, I don't know if this is an upgrade or not. And I'm sitting to myself and I'm going, you know what? I got a piece of gear. I don't know if it's an upgrade or not either. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, the first night of a brand new raid. I mean, we're having fun. We're kicking ass,
Right.
But I think there comes a point in time when I think Blizzard becomes a little too reliant on outside sources to tell us what's going on or what to do, because I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I think I'm of at least average intelligence, and just by looking at gear, I do the little shift thing and I can look and see what the stat comparison is and all that, but it's not always that obvious to me, even if it's just by eye level. And I appreciate that they've tried to corral that a little bit over the years, but I need this to be simplified. I need to be able to pick up a piece of gear in a raid and go, yes, this is an upgrade. Boom, no questions asked. Is that too hard to ask, or am I just out in left field here?
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree. And this has been one of my biggest pet peeves whenever a new raid comes out and new gear comes out. And the nice thing is with Legion it got a little bit better, and now with BFA it's what I've discovered is if it's the same item level, you kind of have to guess if it's an upgrade. But if it is an item level upgrade, usually it's in my experience, it's been better to put on the higher item level piece of gear.
But you still have people that say, well, no, don't do that because the secondary stat is better.
Well, and that's okay. So what I say to that is I always tell people to sim your stuff. And I know that there are people out there that don't like there are people out there that don't like to do that.
I don't.
And it should not be a thing that we have to do to rely on a third party site. But if you want to be up there on the damage meters, where everybody wants to be up there on the damage meters, let's be honest, DPS, you're not really paying attention to a fight. The reason why we have wipe nights is because your bar on the DPS meter is not as far up on it as everybody else's. You're just staring at it. You're going to have to sim your stuff. And, that's warriors are kind of easy in that department. It's usually strength. Yeah, okay, got more strength, and then haste and crit, and sometimes mastery. But
boom.
Yeah, but but I agree with you. I don't want to have to rely on third party sites, but thankfully there are places out there like Ask Mr. Robot. There is the simulation craft community with raid bots and things like that. So there's things out there, and now honestly, raid bots added something to their website called the Droptimizer, where you load your character up and you either use, it loads it up from the armory or you use SimC, and it'll actually tell you what items are going to be a definite upgrade for your character. Like when I ran that, it was funny. There are 2 bosses in that raid right now on normal that are upgrades for me. It's the very, very first boss and the very, very last boss. That's it. So so that's what I'm dealing with in a normal raid. So the first boss has a weapon upgrade for me, and the last boss has a trinket for me. So everything else in between is I swap over to Prot and get, alternative gear while we're doing normal.
Alternative gear. There you go.
Alternative gear. Transmog, which still looks like crap. But I'm not too happy with this. I'm not too happy with this raid tiers plate set. The whole Chitlin armor, I don't know. It's
Chitin?
Chitin
armor?
Is that it? Yeah, we say it like Chitin in Florida.
Chitin.
No, Chitin.
It's not a Chitlin armor.
Chitlin armor.
It's not Chitlin armor.
But
That's something wholly different. That's the next tier.
But yeah, so that's, I get where you're coming from, and I agree. So
yeah, I appreciate sites like Droptimizer that do the Droptimizer thing like this Braybots does, because the one element that I would say that throws some validity to that is the coin, right? Where you can roll, you can do the little coin roll and try to get your extra gear.
Try to get something.
And knowing which bosses have collectively the biggest upgrades or the most number of upgrades, that kind of thing, which to be fair, you could do in the game. If you go into the dungeon guide, the journal, and you look at the bosses and you see their drops and you do a comparison. I mean, you could create your own spreadsheets and do different things to do that. So it is possible to do it without a website. But I will say, if there's one piece that I would say is good, is having something like that where, it was pretty obvious to me. The first boss drops a weapon. I need 2. Boom. Easy. Drop that coin. I was laughing with my buddy Rommel. Listen, we're going to be coining that thing for months, probably. Yeah. And I'm going to blow all kinds of gold, but whatever. That's how it goes. So maybe in the future things will simplify. I doubt it, because people like to have some sense of complexity, and maybe I'm just an old dullard, and that's just how this goes. But beyond that, we do have a new raid. It's a fabulous new raid. So why don't we jump into our news, talk about that, Q&As, a bunch of other stuff, and let's go. So the Battle of Dazar Allure, finally upon us. We're ripping through it. Horde and Alliance, different stories side by side. And as we have both already said, it's a phenomenal raid.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoying it. Varied fights. The story makes sense, at least to me. So far, what we've seen, I can follow along what we're doing. It's not just sort of, here's somebody that just came out of nowhere. Why are they here? I don't know, but we'll fight them for gear. I have a better sense of the story that's being told, which I really appreciate, because I don't know if that's always so clear in a raid. But one of the things that I think I like as much as the raid is the pre-raid jitters that I always get. It's the night, like the couple of nights before a new raid drops, for me is only second to like the couple of nights before a new expansion drops, where I can't sleep. I'm just so excited. It's the kid on Christmas feeling where I'm ready to go. I'm sneaking peeks at guides at work while I'm supposed to be, doing some other important work, theoretically. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a 5-minute break. What's this Hazel Nutty Games thing? What you got, Hazel? I'm watching this one, or I'm reading some other guide on MMO Champion, or what's Wildhead say the order is? Okay, here we go. I love all that stuff. And inevitably with every raid, we'll get tired of it because that's how it goes unless you get the Oldawar situation, which was too short. But for the most part, we'll all get tired of it. But man, that energy, that nervous energy, those first couple of days before you actually get to the raid, I love it. And then you finally in there and you're like, it's something new and I'm doing this thing. And it's the best. I mean, it's what keeps me coming. As much as I talk about the story and how much I love the storytelling of our beloved game, there's just nothing like the feeling of a new raid.
Yeah. Because it's what we look forward to. We, like you said, like Kid on Christmas.
Well, and you and I both talked about this, is that you took a little bit of a break before this new raid hit. Our team took, not a big break, but just a little bit of a break to recharge the batteries and just catch our breath for a week or so. Do you feel that helped? So when you were back, you were ready and just hard charging, kicking ass, ready to go?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, that helped. I know it's funny because we towards the end of Uldir, we were trying to kill mythic bosses and we were struggling to get 20. And then on new raid night, when we're just going in there on normal just to, sightsee and see what's going on, we end up with like 30 plus people that log in and want all raid at the same time. So so we had a huge showing for the first night, which is you always have that. And our group is just an AOTC group. So we just go through, once we go through on Heroic, we've accomplished our goal. Everything else is icing on the cake. So, but the new raid is, it's pretty. I like it gives me some of the old nostalgia feels of the old troll raids, we used to have in, regular vanilla WoW and things like that. Mm-hmm. Or it was BC, Zoldazar. Zulaman, that's it. Yeah, Zulaman. And I really like that feel. The one thing I don't like, and I'll touch base on it again, is the whole, I have to play it as a Forsaken during the second half. and that drives me nuts. I use the Orb of Deception, and I get to turn into a Night Elf. But other than that okay, so that's weird.
Wait a minute.
So get this. So
what?
Yeah. So here, that's the strange thing. I'm a human. I turn into a Forsaken, and then if I use the Orb of Deception as a Forsaken, I turn into a Night Elf. I was hoping I was going to turn back into a human. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, now, for some of our listeners who may not know, can you tell people what the Orb of Deception is?
Yeah, the Orb of Deception is a toy that drops. And I don't have it in front of me at the moment. I don't remember where I got it. I don't know if it was Upper Blackrock Spire. I don't know if it was Lower I don't know where it came from.
But it's been around for a long time.
It came around. It's been around for a long. Actually, Blackwing Lair. I think it was Blackwing Lair. But it's a toy. Anyway, it'll swap factions for you. So you put it on, 30-minute cooldown. You turn into something else. As a human, when you use it, you turn into an orc. So that's how it is normally for me. And I do it, and you can do the MC Hammer dance in raid, and it's like, yay, you know. So now, turning into a Forsaken and using it, I turn into a Night Elf. And that's it.
Man, you really don't like them turning you into a horde, too,
I do not like them turning me into a horde at all.
Bless your faction loyalty, man, because I'm just going to ride with it, but you are committed. So so you guys are now up to where?
Oh yeah, we hit a blockade at blockade. That's it. I mean, we are right
doing
there.
Its job.
I really feel a lot of us are 385, 386 plus, geared. I've kind of felt, I'm not looking to steamroll a normal instance, but I kind of felt like we would have been doing a lot more damage to this boss. Maybe it was carrying 30 people. we're not carrying, having 30 people in raid. I don't know, but it was when we got to the boss, we only had, I think, maybe 15, 20 minutes left in the raid, and we had a couple pulls in, and the first night is all about learning the dance, and I felt our team did pretty good. And what's funny is we went in there Tuesday and we got up to King Rastakhan, and then on Thursday we started up again. And we went into there was this big, long discussion and debate in the raid channel and things like that. I'm like, okay, guys, I got a great idea. Let's just one-shot this boss, and then we can get on to the rest of the stuff. Yeah. And they're like, enough, let's pull it. So we did. We one-shot the boss. That was it. Nice. So on Mechatork, I did the same thing. We didn't one-shot Mechatork. That was a fun fight, by the way. You guys will enjoy that when you get to it. It's a lot of cooperative stuff where you're just like, I have to call out this color of another player I'm looking at, and you have to press all these buttons while you're in a row. It's a fun fight.
Yeah.
Other than that, I feel it is a lot of fun. Anytime you get a new raid, it's a lot of fun. I feel like the cinematics are great as always. Like that doesn't really need to be said. So well done, cinematics team, for hitting it out the park again. You guys did a good job.
It's interesting to see the sort of style that they're, and that's the thing, is it's evolved over time with their cinematics.
Oh yeah,
we used to have, when it was the in-game, right, it was more of the in-game models, but they kind of heightened them up a little bit. But now you're getting even more of this sort of fluidity to these cinematics, and they're almost taking on like a Pixar light feel. Like,
I get that, yeah.
Like when I was watching the one for the intro Alliance side, right, you go and it's Jaina and the crew and the whole thing, and I'm looking at her and I'm looking at Mechatork and everybody else. I'm like, this kind of feels like it's like an early, like pre-rendered Pixar. I mean, it's almost there.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, man, like how much longer is it going to be until we get some, full cartoon deal,
full length movie? Yeah.
As a preview to a little recurring bit we'll have starting next month, probably. I believe so much in Blizzard and their future, and the fact that I think they're going to open up some kind of animation wing at some point. I have purchased Blizzard stock.
Oh, nice. How's that going, by the way?
I am up.
Oh, wow.
So we'll talk about that, and we'll be watching the financials of the company as time goes on, because with all of the hoopla that happened last year, I figured it was time to put a little stake in the ground and see what happens. So as a preview to what's going on, I'm going off on a tangent here, but yeah, it's so good, and it was such a welcome piece to the raid to get you into the mood of like, all right, here we go, blowing stuff up, landing on the beach. I mean, it's like D-Day style. Let's roll. Yeah, and then off we go.
Yeah, and as far as the raid goes, it's nice to finally see the Alliance kicking some ass and not just like, oh, sorry about that, guys. Didn't mean to kill you guys. No, finally. I mean, it's like we roll in there like bosses and we just kick some ass. So far, my favorite boss is Opulence.
It's so good.
Opulence is a fun fight. So I really do like that fight. And then I think the next favorite fight that I have so far is Mechatork, because just the game mechanics there. But yeah, all in all, the raid mechanics are fun. I actually didn't feel a lot of downtime with Trash. Although, Trash time could be your time to spec out the new piece of gear you get. But there's really, from Mechatork to, there's a, so I'm trying to think here. When we zone in, there's a troll gauntlet to the king. And then once you kill the king, you go to the other side and Mechatork's right there. And then after that, there's some Trash to blockade. All in all, it's not like the old deer level Trash where it's like, all right, so now we're going to do this Trash. All right, let's take a break. And then we're going to do some more Trash. And it's I don't know. They did a good job, I feel, with the balance of boss and Trash this fight. So, but yeah, also for Alliance players, you guys need to go out there and look at YouTube to see all of the cinematic stuff, because the Horde gets some added pieces to the cinematics that the Alliance don't get. This with King Rastakhan and his daughter. Forgive me, I don't remember her name at the moment. But But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that happened there, and Samdi and things like that, and so
yeah, that's definitely something that with a raid designed this way, where you have two concurrent stories, you're gonna miss a little bit of something. Where it's similar to the Broken Shore, where Alliance got one version, Horde got another version of a cinematic. So yeah, you'll have to go out there and kind of check it out for yourself. And I think later on down the road, once your team and my team collectively have cleared this raid, we'll probably come back on this show and talk about some of the lore implications, the fallout from this raid, and some of that stuff. So we'll, just for the listeners, we'll have that probably coming in the next couple of episodes. So we'll definitely get into that discussion. But to your point, we were very surprised at how quickly we were getting to bosses. We're like, oh,
yep,
they're right here at the top of the stairs. Oh, all right. Well, let's do this. It was. It's a tough balance, I think, for Blizzard sometimes. Well, how much trash should we have? If it takes longer than, I don't know, 10 minutes to get from boss to boss, I think my sweet spot's probably 8 to 10 minutes, maybe. But that's like at the extreme end. I really don't want to have to go any longer than that. Like, 5 wings full of trash to get to a boss. It's too much.
I'd be okay if every future raid was this complex with trash and boss. I'd be okay if every single raid following this one is that way. And the youngins out there that are like, oh no, this game is just too easy. Wait till you get older and you don't have a lot of time and you want to log in and play. So yeah, this is a perfect amount of stuff for us right now.
Yeah, so. And 9 bosses in total. So it's an appropriate length for a raid, a very full raid. Plus we'll have the next smaller raid, the 2-boss raid, I think, is what's coming. Sort of like the smaller raid that we had in Legion, the Halls of Valor type deal. Yeah, and this is not a knock on my beloved team, but there's usually a boss that we get stuck on for a little bit and we kind of have to bang our head on. And I thought that Opulence was going to be that boss for us because, you got to split the raid up, you got to go down the hallways, there's all kinds of crazy dancing with fires and lightning balls and just, death gas, and it's all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And we started working on it, and we're having our little moments of wiping and doing our thing, and then, man, all of a sudden we crushed it.
Nice.
And no problem. And then we just kept on moving, and we're steadily banging away on Rosticon right now. I have no doubt we'll get that down next week and continue to move on, so I can see what this Mechatork business is like firsthand. But overall, it's a beautiful raid. I think it's well laid out. The pace is great. The fights are interesting. And as one person on my raid mentioned, which I think a lot of us agree with, it's nice to get away from the fell, the green, that palette has been around us now for several years, and so it's nice to see a place it's got green and waterfalls that are natural greens.
Yeah, the organic feel of
waterfalls made of water. It's not it's beautiful botanical life. It's not green fell and demon blood waterfalls or whatever's going on here. It has that organic feel that they do so well. And it makes you feel like you're in this outdoor zone, you're exploring, you're doing the thing. And I can't say enough about it. And I'm sure at some point we'll get bored of it, but it's been a great introduction to this raid. I'm sure it will keep us plenty busy. And as a reminder, the Mythic version goes live on the 29th. We are running a contest. I don't know that this will get out before our entries close, so hopefully if you wanted to enter our Mythic contest, you got in. All you had to do was send us who you thought would be the winning team and the date and time they would get their winning kill on Mythic. So it was pretty easy contest. So if you missed out on that one, we'll have more in the future, so keep an eye out and keep an ear out for when we're doing those things. But it looks like 2 teams will be streaming, once again, live streaming their Mythic World First attempts. So Method will be out there along with Exorcist.
Yep.
However I say that, the
Exorcist,
Russian
yeah.
guild. So you'll have at least those two teams out there running wild, and I'll keep an eye on those and see how that goes. So all in all, great foray into the next raid, and I know we're looking forward to banging our heads against that for the next couple of months. Alongside of that, we also had the next chapter in the war campaign play out, which I think, as both of us discovered,
Yeah.
it's probably a good idea if you have finished that first before you jump into the new raid,
Yeah.
because it sets the stage for what happens prior to the raid, just leading up to it, how the Alliance gets there, at least from our perspective, and all of that jazz. So you played through that. What were your impressions of the new war campaign chapter, and what did you think about all that?
I really enjoyed it. I did it because after we killed King Rastakhan, I was waiting. We had a day off, on Wednesday, so I went to go do all the war campaign stuff on Wednesday, hoping I was going to also run into some horde along the way to get the 25 kill reward, which this week was real bad because I think a lot of horde had their war mode off. But I go not to hammer on the horde too much on that. Going to back on track here with the story. I thought the story was really good. I liked the plot up to where we're attacking. I forget. It's not No, it is Nazmir where we launch the attack.
Yeah,
and then.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I got real confused because the storyline goes from us attacking and doing our bit to the end of the story of what happens after the raid ends, and it's Anduin and Jaina and Matthias Shaw, and they're all discussing, the sacrifice was made for Mekatork and how he's gravely injured, and then Anduin's like, Jaina, how are you faring, and things like that. So I didn't get to fight Jaina yet, so I don't know the storyline there. But it's not a spoiler. It's not like they were gonna kill Jaina off. But I kind of felt like that part of the war campaign could have been like a nice little, once you defeated Jaina, then you can go back and hand the quest in, and then we didn't get an ending. You don't get an ending cinematic after Jaina, so the dialogue between all the NPCs would have been a nice way to end after the Jaina or after the Jaina event. But I mean, it's nice. I always the war campaign's nice, and also just completing that means that you're gonna get your Kul Tiran when it comes out in 8.1.5. So
or your Zandalari,
or your Zandalari, yeah.
Who do that?
So just doing that war campaign quest, that's it. When they drop, you can go get your Kul Tiran. So
that I like a lot better than a rep grind.
I do too. Because
maybe it's the cop out, maybe it's the easy way out, but man, that I feel a lot better about that than having to grind some rep and then go, okay, finally.
Yeah. Because I keep wanting to play that dwarf, and I'm just like, do I want to roll with this character for a dwarf? Do I want to do this character as a dwarf? I don't want to play as a dwarf. I know what I want to play as a Kul Tiran, but just. But yeah, I agree with you with the whole rep grind thing. So.
Well, I'll tell you, when those Kul Tirans hit, this is the only time I have ever seriously thought about race changing.
Oh, don't race change. Just level up another tune. Do something, because you got to get the armor. You're gonna want to get.
I don't have that time.
Oh.
I am a filthy casual. I only have time for like 1.5 tunes. And that other half is spread out over like a year.
You're going to want the heritage armor. You will. You're going to want it. It looks really cool. So you want the big trench coat.
I do want it. But man, I guess that's, that's the struggle, right? Especially with part-timers like myself. I haven't even leveled up this dark iron dwarf I'm in love with. I'm like, I love this thing. I love the whole vibe of that whole get up there, but I don't have the time. I want the time. I got to spend the time raiding. I don't know. Damn you, Warcraft, making me want to do things. How dare you? Yeah. So, war campaign. Happy to see a little bit of light being shown on Jaina and her story. I think that has been lamented by a few. We had all of the, we had the Warbringer short. We had all of this attention being paid to Jaina and her story and the family and the whole thing. And then she just kind of disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it comes with these stories. You don't necessarily run with the same focus on every chapter, which, okay, I get that. But it was nice to see her leading the charge. You're mounting her elemental and plowing through a bunch of Zandalari forces and all that jazz, which, by the way, just as, because I know everybody from Blizzard listens to this podcast. If there is a quest where we get to ride in a cool-ass vehicle and blow a bunch of stuff up, raise the limit on the number of things we have to blow up so we can spend a little more time having the fun. Because when I was rolling in that elemental, I was just blasting the hell out of those Zandalari. I was done with it in like 30 seconds.
I know.
I need just a little bit more time where I'm OP going pa, 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 and just going apeshit. So I just throwing that one out there. Overall, though, really enjoyed another chapter of the war campaign. I like how they've implemented this version of their storytelling to keep the story alive. So you didn't just go through, because think back what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the leveling experience, that was your story, and then you'd get the subsequent raids. Maybe you'd get some other daily quests and some other things to kind of fill in the gaps. But for the most part, the story only progressed through the raids. Now you're getting these full-on chapters of a story playing out through quests. You get appropriate rewards, and you remain engaged in that.
Right,
and that I like, because it doesn't feel as disparate as you do when, say, why am I in Serpent's Shrine Cavern? Now why am I in Hellfire Citadel? Now why am I over here in some other part of Outland? See, I remember all that stuff, and I'm like, why are we in these places? I don't really know. But now you have a tether keeping them all together, and I really do appreciate that. So again, well done on the storytelling front. I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to more. As part of the new raid, there's always new drama because that's how it works, right? So we had a guild by the name of Limit, well-known guild, been in the news a few times for a couple of different things. They decided to transfer their guild temporarily to the Alliance side to get some higher level gear for the weekly quest that was going on, to help give them an edge perhaps in the mythic running that will start next week. Now for you, Navox, fair or bullshit?
Oh, no. It's fair, but it's also bullshit. I mean, have some fucking faction pride, for God's sakes. If you're Horde, listen, I'm all for, I am, right now I'm Alliance, right? But I don't know. I would not go like if my team's like, hey, listen guys, we're going to just faction swap real quick to go get a 20 item level upgrade, and then we're going to swap back at some point. I'm not doing that. That's stupid. Like, why do you feel like that little piece is going to make all the difference in the world? A little 20 item piece. I don't know. This is all limit marketing. That's all that this is. They did this for attention, and it worked. They just, all they did was they stirred the pot up, and now people like us, we're talking about them. We're looking up their Twitch channels, and oh god,
yeah.
But it was such a bitch move. I mean, and I'm so glad that they nerfed it next week so that the war mode thing's only 385 and not 400. I believe the whole limit thing was just a marketing thing for them altogether. So, but
I believe that they named their Alliance guild "This Game Is Shit,"
or the game is broke, or something like that, or something like that. Yeah,
something
so
like
that's to add to the yeah. What a bitch move! Like seriously, God. I want Method to pound them now. I just want Method and Exorcist to just be like, haha, fuck your little 400 item level piece. We still beat you. I know, but yeah.
Well, I will tell you, of the entries that we have received for our mythic contest, not one person has said limit.
Oh,
so
all right.
I don't know if anybody believes it. I know I'm giving it away here, but that's how that goes. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Blizzard didn't see this coming in a way, because as much as I think they try to cater towards the more casual player, they still are very mindful of the Mythic Raiders. They're very mindful.
Right, yeah.
And you know, disagree all you want, but there are things that they do that are structured around how are things going to work out during the Mythic race or on the Mythic level. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't see this coming, and not that they did anything wrong, but I do hope that they try to eliminate as much drama as possible, and for the possibility of exploitation, if you want to call it that. Or at the very least, what if you just have an Alliance guild who happen to get that 400 guild, you know, that 400 gear? No tricks involved. That's just the faction that they happen to be aligned with.
Right.
And that does seem to give an uneven edge, especially when we're not talking about like your team or my team that has 20 or 30 players. You're talking about a team that has a benches full of people with multiple tunes that are running them all. And so it's aggregate wise, it's quite large.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
and everybody wants to be part of the fame. So
that's right. That's right. Everyone wants their 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or, you know, I think we got about 30 seconds once.
Yeah.
And that's about as much as we'll ever get. Now, you know what? And I'm okay with that. And I'm happy it's gone, so then we can just go back into the shadows. So speaking of our developers, we did have a Q&A this past week with Ian Hazakostas, also known as Watcher, and Josh Allen, also known as Lore, with a hat that everyone is commenting on.
Yeah.
Very spacey looking, and you know, good for him. I would not go out of the house in that hat, but I applaud his bravery. I applaud his bravery.
You can get it from Blizzard for $24.95 plus shipping and handling. It comes with the hair.
450,000 in-game gold. So he did touch on a variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of it was new. Some of it, I think, was just, you know, reiteration of things that we had already heard. One of the items, though, that I thought was particularly interesting, and it was something that came right off the bat, was that they talked about the allied races of the Kultirans and the Zandalari coming into the fold and what the timing is. And they had told us some time ago that 8.1.5 was the time that they were coming. You and I have discussed this on the show more than once,
right.
So not really a surprise. I'm not sure why that question was being asked. But in the discussion of that, I thought it was really interesting because Ian essentially admitted that originally the Kultirans were not planned as an allied race. That was not going to happen.
Wow.
It was not until they had gone deep into the planning and development and execution of this expansion that they realized, oh shit, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Because it only makes sense now, and we have to give it to them. But they were so late in the process of making that decision. That's why they're not coming until 8.1.5.
Right, and then he also said that the trolls were supposed to come out before the Magar orcs.
The Magar orcs were going to come now. They were going to come later.
They were going to come later with the Kultirans. So, yeah, they swapped that.
So, very interesting to see how I think that or at least correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we had been under the impression that the Kultirans were a planned allied race.
I was under the same.
All along.
Yep, exactly. When I first saw them, I was like, God, this is going to be awesome when we can play as these people. You know, it's. I thought that was the plan all along. Like you said, we're going to Kul Tiras. There's the Kultirans. They have all the Tide Sages. They have their druids that have the awesome forms to it. I mean, for Blizz to pull the rug out from under us and be like, yeah, it's really cool. You can't play any of these things would have been like, oh man. It was like,
yeah. But it also explains why they've been so cagey about issues like this, because here it's a good example of how their development cycle can go, where something may seem obvious at a certain point, but maybe not at the beginning, or to the point that Ian was making. The resources that are required in order to create this particular allied race with its own unique skeleton, its own unique traits, the whole thing, it's very intense, and they have to have resources available essentially to develop and to do all of that.
Yeah, because they have all those skins also. Like, it's not just will this this one piece of plate look good on this? It's not just the one piece of plate, it's every single piece of plate gear that exists in the game. Like, can you just imagine a developer sitting there like, okay, here's your job. Your job is to go through 8,000 pieces of items here just to look and make sure that this thing looks okay. Oh my God, that would drive me insane, I think. I know people could sit there, no, that would be fun. No, that would get probably tedious real quick, and I don't think it's as fun as you think it is.
I get the feeling that there's a lot of tedium in a lot of the jobs that they do.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I don't know. It's why I cut them a lot of slack when we have these kinds of discussions, because I can't imagine what it's like to do their job.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what I know, it sounds just very intense in terms of the amount of time it takes to do anything. And, you know, the most minor of mindless screw-ups can cause a huge problem.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And God bless them, man. So they talked about that. Kultira and Zandalari 8.1.5 are coming out. It's probably looking at, you know, March-ish, I think, for that. I know that there was an article on Wowhead that tried to gaze into the crystal ball and divine when the future patches are going to be coming. I think, according to them, we're looking at March, May, and July.
That's good.
Somewhere.
That's good because
neighborhood.
Yeah, that'll be a good time because people will be. Well, I don't know if we'll be in the next raid. Yeah, that'll be the next raid, 815. We'll get another raid at that point, I imagine. So
yeah.
So at that point, yeah, and then at that point, people can do the new raid, and then on their off hours, they can go and level a new Kultiran or something, and you know, so
Boom.
You have something to do in the summertime.
Well, and then it also pans out well for us to get, you know, we assume there's going to be an 8.3, 8.2.5, 8.3 coming pre-BlizzCon-ish,
Right.
which lines up again to an expansion announcement, maybe? I don't know. I'm going to hold out hope until they make that next expansion announcement at Gamescom in Germany in the summertime, and I'll be like, no, you bastards, nobody bought tickets.
Yeah.
So Ian touched on several other topics as well. Talked about Warfronts, talked about transmog, talked about gear upgrades, talked about character slots. They're trying to figure out how you can get all 50 on one server, which, my God, if you need 50 tunes, I don't know how you have that much time. One of the things about transmog I picked up on that I loved is the fact that tier sets, in terms of, you know, belonging to one class, that those could be coming back in the future, because right now everything is homogenized, right? All plate or plate, all leather,
right?
flop,
Yeah,
you know, the whole thing. I do miss the warrior only sets.
I do too.
I didn't always like them because I thought the Death Knights got a lot of the cool stuff that I would have wanted. But I do miss, I tell you, and I think that is kind of a fair complaint coming out of Legion, where it was so class focused. There's not a lot of class identity in Battle for Azeroth, and maybe it's because they want it to be more faction, you know, because it's the faction war going on, and less about individual classes, more about focusing on which larger group you belong with. But I do miss that amount of love for what you are playing, where in Legion we got, you know, the class halls, the artifacts, the special mounts, the whole thing, and now it's, you know, there's none of that.
Right.
So And I know that, as you lamented earlier, you're not loving the generic sort of plate sets that we're getting right now.
You know, I got my one. I'm still working on I'm still working on the full alliance set of the siege. The Arathi Highlands set. I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
I got the really cool belt this past week. It's got this cool looking. It's got these tassels that come down. That looks really, really cool. I just need the lion shoulders, which keep evading me. Like, I have 25 of this one set of 7th Legionnaire shoulder plates, but I just can't get the lion shoulders. And once I have that, I'm one of those types of people that I get one transmog and I fixate on it. So the whole expansion, I'm just wearing that alliance set. So that's what I'm doing right now until something more cool comes out. But I'm a plate guy. I like the plate look, and I like the alliance set. So
yeah, they definitely knocked it out at the park.
Yeah,
with the Arathi set. That one's pretty slick. The Warfront armor coming from the Battle for Darkshore. Not as, I mean, it's the Night Elf armor. It's not my favorite, but it's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
They've done a great job. It's just not necessarily my flavor. They also talked about in the Q&A more, or sort of reiterated about what's happening with the Heart of Azeroth. Starting in 8.2, they've been talking about for a while now how essentially the Heart of Azeroth, picking up that flavor of the artifact that we had before, it's just not very compelling.
No, it's
because you gather the AP, you build it up, you can unlock some traits. That's been a whole debacle that I don't know that they'll ever live down from certain parts of our player base.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But they are talking about adding abilities into the artifact power, like we had, into the Heart of Azeroth, like we had with the artifacts in Legion, which, as somebody who really loved having Odin's Fury and not having it anymore, I would love to see a return of that, if not something similar, because that does add something new, something fun that you're like, ooh, a new button to push. If it's not ridiculously unmanageable, we all love a new button to push.
Absolutely. And I was a big fan of the weapon thing, so.
And it has to be active abilities. It can't be any more of this, it gives you 2% haste. Burn that to the ground. I don't want any of that.
You're hasted out. That's it.
Give me the headbutt maneuver I've been longing for forever as a swap for my pummel.
Yeah.
Give me anything. Anything.
I think that's what the Colterans get. They get this like wind up Popeye swing. So
they do. It's so great. I'm so happy about that. It's probably the biggest reason I'm thinking about making the race change. So other than those items, and there were a few, or there were many, sorry, there were quite a few, and I always encourage people to watch the whole video. It's an hour long, get a vibe for all the stuff that they're talking about. But were there other items in there that you thought were of particular interest?
Yes, especially for Arms Warriors. I love that Ian said, hey, look, Pure Balance will likely happen over the coming weeks through hot fixes after looking at the new raid feedback specifically for Arms Warriors. Yesterday, we got a little blue post that said Mortal Strike, Execute, Slam, Overpower, and Rend damage increased by 8% coming out on Tuesday. So, boom, that was awesome. I was happy about that because I love Arms. I really do. I love Arms. It hits so hard, and I love the Execute phase. I love the face roll of it, and it is. I'm happy about that. So, because right now I'm Fury, which is fun. And I'm only Fury because when I go out to Warcraft logs, everybody else is playing Fury, and that's doing the most damage at the moment.
It's because Titan's Grip is the best, yo. It's the greatest thing that Warcraft ever did.
I don't know. I think so. I love it, and I just, I don't know. The arms, though, I love hitting that Execute button a lot. Like a lot. Like if I could just hit Execute, like one button rotation, I would just do that. And I know I make fun of hunters with their stupid rotation of 1, 2, and 3, dumb hunters. But but yeah, no, this one was a good Q&A, and they did a good job. And Josh, can you tell us where we can buy that awesome hat?
I think somebody did link it in his Twitter.
Oh, nice. I have to go look.
Somebody mentioned that, but yeah, there were many items that were touched on, and again, I really appreciate, right or wrong, that they're taking the time to field questions, and yes, they pick them ahead of time so they can kind of, guide the conversation.
It's not going to be any fun if they curate it live. It's just.
Are you kidding me? That would be the greatest free for all of all time.
When are you guys gonna buff Enhancement Shaman?
Buff Shaman for 3 hours.
You guys like warlocks?
It would be pandemonium. Did you imagine the Twitch chat on that shit? Oh my
dude,
God.
That's the first thing that gets shut off whenever I go into that channel. I hit that little arrow. Shut it. Like, I don't want to see any of the general bullshit chat. Like, you guys
I can't even read it anymore.
No, you
Maybe
can't.
That's the sign of how old I am.
It's just a bunch of fucking emotes that go up the screen, salt, and all that shit from Twitch. I'm getting to that age too where I'm just like, you're all fucking idiots. Like, I don't want to read anything you guys are saying. Crotchety.
Get off my lawn with your Twitch chat. All right, last but not least, we had some interesting Blizzard company news that came across everyone's purview, and it was that, and I'm gonna botch this name, so I apologize. Not that this person's gonna listen, but Sebastian Stepien, we'll say,
go with that.
We'll go with that pronunciation. Who is a former creative director for CD Projekt Red, who are the developers behind Witcher 3 and the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077.
Cannot wait, yes.
Has joined Blizzard as a same title, right? He's a creative director or same kind of role for an unannounced project, or at least they're not saying publicly what he is tied to. You and I have talked about Witcher 3 on this show inadvertently a number of times.
That's right,
You
Sal.
love it. I've been playing through it. I clearly see why it's so goddamn popular, because it's a pretty great game.
It is awesome.
We've only seen, a trailer and some playthroughs, a little bit of Cyberpunk 2077, but it's a similar open world style game where it looks just amazing and crazy, and I can't wait to play it, because that was, on a side note, the first RPG I ever played. It was the original Cyberpunk with some guys in high school when I first got introduced to this, and I've thought about that ever since. So the fact that they're using that same universe for this game, I think, is amazing. But anyway, so we have these two massive open world games that the creative director of that company now has come into the Blizzard house, putting on our, whatever you want to put on, our Swami apparel, and gazing into our own crystal balls. What do you think that this means for Blizzard? What could he be working on?
All right. Well, I thought about this, and I mean, like you said, he was the Cyberpunk head writer. He began working at CD Projekt Red in 2006, and he was the dialogue writer for the first Witcher game, and then he stayed there for the next 12 years, right? And like you said, Witcher 3, for me at least, it'll go down in history as one of the very best games of all time. So I love the story, the gameplay. We covered all that. I think that he is going to be working with the Diablo team. That, especially with what has transpired with the BlizzCon, at BlizzCon when they announced the mobile version for Diablo. I kind of feel like Diablo as a whole in the story, in the storyverse, is right up his alley, especially with what he did with Witcher. I thought that Blizzard might be branching out into doing another IP with something single player, but no, I really think he's going to work for Diablo. I'm not a huge Diablo fan. I play Diablo, for me, is a one-time playthrough. I go through, I kill Diablo, I'm done. When I first played Diablo, I loved it back in 1996. Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 didn't really do it for me, but I did go through and I played it. I play from start to finish. I kill Diablo and it's done. My theory is that he was brought on to the Diablo 4 team to bring back that dark, gritty feeling of the Diablo franchise, and it's one of the main Blizzard IPs that really, really needs some attention. Sorry, StarCraft people. I know that you guys have been dealing with StarCraft 2 for a very long time. You guys are due for StarCraft 3, but the Diablo fans are riled up, and I think they want to knock it out of the park with Diablo 4, and I think that's what this guy's working on. That's my take. How about you?
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
Because I think that you could very well be correct in the sense that from what we had heard about the development process, after all the fallout from Diablo Immortal and BlizzCon, we started to hear more about what had been in development, how the third expansion, or the second expansion for the third Diablo game, was in development. Then they crushed it. Then there was another version of Diablo, I guess 4, that was in development, and then they killed that too. And I mean, it sounds like there's been a bunch of stuff going on, but based on the games that we've seen that this person has been tied to, it would make a lot of sense if you had, some revolutionary version of Diablo where you had a different view instead of looking down on a map like you're used to with Diablo, that maybe you have that Witcher style where there's, a character in front of you, you're playing one of those races and you're going through and you're being not told necessarily, but you're going through a very complex story. Because I think that's one of the hallmarks, right, of Witcher 3 and potentially the Cyberpunk game, is that you're working your way through a very large world with a very complex story being told.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the knocks on Blizzard has been for a long time is that when you're playing through the game, you're not really being given a lot of choices. There's not a lot of storytelling dialogue that goes on in the same way that you have with, say, Witcher 3, or even with the Star Wars MMO that's still up and running. One of the things that people really loved about it was you had choice. You had this more advanced version of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I can see where somebody like this comes in with that ability, with that knowledge, with that background, and applies it to something that we know. And Diablo very well could be a franchise that could make use of that in a new game. Where I originally thought that maybe there was some potential for this could be for an open world version or some derivation thereof for Overwatch. Because right now you have Overwatch has kind of been in a lull. They do have a posting right now for a senior writer for the Overwatch franchise, which is asking for character dialogue, and it looks to be a little more story oriented. And I could see where perhaps now that Overwatch seems to be losing some steam, maybe there is something in the works for them for more of a story game, like a story-based game that we're used to coming from Blizzard. Not necessarily just, okay, there's on the periphery, there's comics, there's stories, there's the animations that they do, which are all fantastic, but it's not part of the game. Maybe they're creating something that's more cohesive in that way.
That always drove me nuts with Overwatch. It was just like, here's this game, here you go, done. There was no story to it, there was no backstory to it, and it all came after the fact.
And they've clearly delivered a game that has a rich background. I mean, there's all kinds of character development. There's clearly a backstory with the war against the mechs and the rise and fall of Overwatch. I mean, there's a whole huge story there that you're getting bits and pieces of. But I could see that being put into a centralized game where you play through a story. The other side of that I see, and to your joke, I would love to see the StarCraft MMO finally come to fruition.
Ghost or something.
It maybe, because that is a franchise that is one of the longest and most beloved.
Yeah.
That has absolutely nothing going on for it other than some games against an AI, which is amazing in its own right. But for the regular player, there's nothing going on. But to bring in that rich history of that universe and to bring that forward into something where you play a Protoss, some Zerg something,
right,
one of the Terrans, and you're playing through a very complicated story that intertwines all of these races and the history of this game, like that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it would be different because maybe it's a secondary portion to the base building and, the usual RTS stuff, which, to be fair, that scene's kind of dying out. And
yeah, it is.
They're going to have to find a way to move on. But I would love to see somebody with this amount of experience in the games that we've seen from this person jump onto one of the big franchises within Blizzard that we know and really beef up something special. And that would be my hope.
The guy left CD Projekt Red after 12 years. Like, I can't, unless
Cyberpunk's about to take a huge shit that we don't know about.
No, I think the main story is all done for Cyberpunk. I think they just needed, the story is probably
polish
all done.
time.
It's all polished time, yeah. But,
yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Nav's putting his money on Diablo, and I'm splitting my bet between Overwatch and StarCraft. So that probably means that he's creating a Heroes of the Storm game, or Hearthstone.
The
part
Hearthstone
5.
backstory.
The Hearthstone backstory with Dave Cossack. So, or something entirely new. And you know what? That'd be great too.
Oh, that'd be awesome too. Yeah, new IP survival. Yeah.
As we'll talk about in a future episode, that is key to their business survival. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode. Other than this fine program, where can the good people find you on the internet, Navox?
You can find me out there at Twitter and Twitch. I am at NAV_OX.
As for me, you can always find me on Twitter at Berserker Rage. Feel free to contact this show with your questions, comments, or otherwise at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high. And we'll see you next time. Farewell.